Sup guys, your boy DeAndre. We're here on Between the Lines. And today we're going to talk about the 15 teams in the West and how I feel like they can improve and how they're going to do in the playoffs and just further on in the future how they going to do for the rest of the future. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with the Lakers. I'm going to start from the top and I'll go to the bottom. So with the Lakers, I feel like we are really top heavy. And I say we because, as you guys might know, well, actually, you don't know. I didn't really talk about this in past episodes, but Lakers been my favorite team since I was young. I always loved Kobe. My dad put me in front of TV and we started watching basketball, and like Kobe was that one player that I fell in love with when I was young. So I just followed the Lakers all the way through the years when we were good, bad, especially when we were bad. I hated it when we were bad. Throwing our lineups of Xavier Henry, Jordan Hill, Robert Sacre. You guys probably don't even know who they are, and I shouldn't even know who they are. They shouldn't even be in the league, but hey, that's the years we have to go through. But for us to be the second best team in the league right now, it feels really good because we've been bad for so long. Haven't really been good since like 2012 when Kobe was still Kobe. But yeah. So this year we got LeBron James and Anthony Davis being our leaders, being our best players, two top 5 players in the league. LeBron probably one of the best players of all time, probably arguably the best player of all time, but I just feel like we're really top heavy. Like our bench, they're quality players. I'm not going to say they can play, but like sometimes they can be really inconsistent, and it really doesn't help us at all. So I just feel like for us to push and like have that championship run that we need, and I feel like we can do. Kyle Kuzma, he's going to have to step up and be that third option. He's like, sometimes it doesn't feel like he just wants to get better. Like, first 2 seasons, he was good. But then, like, third season, it seemed like he got Hollywood, changing his hair every game, coming in and taking pictures. I'm not saying you can't take pictures of your, like, outfit coming into the game, but, like JJ Redick said in his podcast, there's some players in the league that just look like they care about their appearance more than the way they play on the court. And sometimes that looks like Kyle Kuzma some of the time. But I just need him to be that third option for us to just push. Like, if you look at every other team that's in the West, like Clippers, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, then they got Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams. Like, that's all players that can go out and give you 20. I feel like Kuzma can give us 20 or 18 a game, at least 18, but like sometimes he just doesn't do it. He can be really inconsistent. It's not the Kuzma we see in the first 2 years. So I just need him to push and be that Kuzma we see in his rookie and the sophomore year. And then for the rest of the team, just be there when we need you, guys. Like, if we need a shot, just make that shot, be confident in your shot. And then, like, when our stars go to the bench and Anthony Davis and LeBron, you just got to step up and play your role. Everybody has their role in this team, and they do good in this. They do good in that role because we've been a great team so far. You just need to. A lot of these people don't have playoff experience, so it might be different in the playoffs. I don't know, but I guess we just gotta be better in the playoffs. You feel me? So next team I'm going to talk about is the Clippers. Now for the Clippers, like I said earlier, they're a really deep team. Like 4 players on the team can legit go out there and get you 20. You got Kawhi and PG that can give you 30 and 40, and like the leaders of that team, top 10 players in the league. So I just feel like with them, they just gotta play together. Cause like if you look at it, Kawhi was out sometime of the year with load management. PG's been hurt all year, basically all year. That's why he wasn't an All-Star. He has All-Star numbers. He just been hurt. So for them to just play together, the first 10 games that they give everybody just to warm up and get in your playoff spot, that's when they need to learn how to play together, mesh together, and then also bring the rest of the team, tell them what you need to do, and then when they take a break and it's time for you to score, do what you do what makes you the top 10 players in the league. You just got to do it. I feel like this team is crazy because they have 2 dynamic duos in Kawhi and PG. Then they have the bench dynamic duo in Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, who can both start in this league if they needed to. Like, they want to, they can start in this league. Because Lou Williams is one of the best buckets I've ever seen. He's only 6'1", but sometimes it seems like he's unstoppable. And then when it goes to the paint, Montrezl Harrell is really unstoppable because he's strong, real strong and passionate about his game. And then he added like a little post game this year, and like he's dribbling up, doing side ups and stuff. I was like, whoa, I didn't see this before. And so the dynamic duo between them is what they do a lot is their pick and rolls is so nasty. You have Lou Williams come through the pick and roll, and then he'll either drive or he'll step back and kick it to Montrezl Hill as he goes to the hoop, and that's an easy dunk, easy 2 points every time. So that team is so nasty because their top six and Kawhi, PG, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Patrick Beverly, Marcus Morris, like they all play amazing defense. I mean, you probably can't say Lou Williams, but he plays respectable defense. But the other five, they play amazing defense. They can all make first team all defensive teams if they needed to. Like they all play amazing defense. So when they go against the LeBrons, the AD, you do a switch. LeBron got the ball, you switch it. Then you got Kawhi on you. Switch again, you got PG on you. Switch again, you got Marcus Morris on you. Like they're so deep defensive-wise that they can throw anybody at you. There's so many different looks that they can give you. That's like, all right, it's hard to score on these guys. So for them, it's just just playing together, and that team looks unstoppable. I don't know if we can beat them, but I hope we can. Let's do it for Kobe, guys. But next, I'm going to talk about the Nuggets. Now, when I was making my little notes for this episode, I was like, the Nuggets, they need playoff experience. But then when I looked at it, like last year, it was Game 7 in the conference finals. No, not in the conference finals, in the semifinals. So if they would have won that game, they would have went to the conference finals. And after that is the finals. So, like, they were right there to go to the conference finals. So I just felt like, they have the experience. It's just a couple pieces that they got to put in there. Paul Millsap got to be that defensive anchor to that team because that team's not really defense heavy, but he just got to be the defensive anchor to that team. Hold Jokic down, one of the best players in this league, a 7-foot point guard, and he got slimmer, so it's going to be kind of hard for him to score because Jokic, if you don't know, Jokic uses his body to score. He's like, I don't want to say he's fat, but like he's really big. Also, with being 7 foot, so he'll use his body to score, do turnarounds, do post ups, all type of stuff. But then I just seen a picture of him a couple days ago. He got real skinny. So I don't know what that's going to do, but they just got to plug a couple pieces in there. Jamal Murray got to show that he can be like the Game 4 Jamal Murray we seen last year when he put up, I think, 38 points. He got to do that every single game. He got to be there every single game, not just have 38 points, but like, at least give him like 20 points a game, like 5 assists. Just be that second person next to Jokic so he won't have to carry that load because other than him, it's not another person that scores and carries the offensive load consistently like he does. And then you got Jeremy Grant, who's a great piece off the bench, athletic 3. I think he can play the 3 if you want to, stick defense, and he can just be that defensive anchor off that bench and that leader off that bench. But for this team, for them to go far and for them to like really be a scary team, you gotta play Michael Porter Jr., man. I just think they gotta stop holding him back. Michael Porter Jr. probably debatably is one of the best high school players that ever played basketball. And I'm not saying he's gonna be the same in the NBA, but like when they let him play his little 15 minute games that he'll have 20 points already. Like Michael Porter is a scoring machine, 6'10" scoring machine. And I know he's been hurt like past couple years ever since high school, but like you gotta let him play, you gotta plug it in. But I don't know, maybe it's stuff like maybe he doesn't play defensive well, and the coach doesn't want to risk putting him in, and then he's giving you 20 points, but he's also giving up 20 points on the other side of the ball. So I don't know what it is with that, but I just feel like for them to be up there with the Clippers and the Lakers, you gotta plug him in because they're already right there. Like they're right there, they're not far. But like everybody looks at the Nuggets like, nah, we're not worried about them. They're the second seed. Oh well. Like that's easy. That's an easy game. That's an easy 7-game series that we can win. So hey, I don't know what they're gonna do in the playoffs, but I just hope they plug Michael Porter in. Next I'm gonna talk about the Jazz. Now the Jazz, they're weird. I think this hiatus hurt them because it really started with them. The coronavirus, it started with them with Rudy Gobert. He started with the coronavirus. Then you had Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell, from what I heard, he said Rudy was being careless with it, touching everything, touching everybody. And it just like it hurt their relationship, I guess. and they were like the main young pieces on that team. So when I look at that, I'm confused. And I don't know how they're gonna come back. I don't know how it's gonna look when they come back. I hope they can like be cool with each other again. I think they are. I don't know, but for this team to be great and like be competitive in the playoffs, Mike Conley got to go back to that All-Star Mike Conley. He's had a horrible year, a terrible year, and I think he's getting paid $28 million. So he's getting paid the max to average 12 points on like 38% efficiency. So like that's terrible for him. When like if it wasn't from Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook, he would have been an All-Star last year. He just played in the West. So if he was on the East, he probably would have been an All-Star last year. And they lost Bogdanovic. So for them to be great again, they're gonna have to have Joe Ingles, Mike Conley, and Royce O'Neal to step their game up to fill those points in that Bogdanovic gave you so easily, and the defense that he gave you guys. You just gotta step up in the playoffs for them to get far and be respectable in the West this playoff series. So next, I'm gonna talk about the OKC. Now OKC is crazy because I seen that in the beginning of the season they had a 0.6% chance of making the playoffs, but now they're the 5th seed. And you can say the main reason why is because Chris Paul. Now when Chris Paul got traded, everybody's like, oh, he's gonna get traded. He's gonna get traded again in like 5 months, because like he got traded in July, and it's like a time limit where you can get traded again, and I think that was in December. So it's probably like 6 months, I think. So he got traded around that time. And we thought he was going to get traded again because that team, they're rebuilding. They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Steven Adams, Danilo Gallinari. They just filled with all a bunch of young people and young talent that we was like, oh, no, they're rebuilding. Like, he'll just be there for a certain period of time just to get his looks up so he can get a team to go after him and trade for him. But nope, it's totally different. He got that team to a 5th seed, and I think they're only a couple games behind for the 4th seed. So these little 10 games that they're going to give all the teams, it can probably push them up to the 4th seed. But yeah, he's having a great year. I know I said last episode that he's leading the league in clutch points, and I think that's a stat where it like bases your points in the last 5 minutes, I think, and he's leading the league at that like age 34, and so he's getting paid a lot of money. So I feel like that's why he wasn't traded. Next year he's going to get paid $40 million a year. That's in his contract already. So that's why I feel like he wasn't traded, because nobody wants to take that money. And plus he's 34, so like it's an old CP3. So nobody wants to take that money onto their team. But what he did this year with growing Danilo Gallinari, Dennis Schroeder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Steven Adams, he growed them. I mean, not growed them. That's not a word. But like he helped them develop. Now you got all 3 of them averaging 20 points. So they got a team with 3 players averaging 20 points. Then Chris Paul's right behind them averaging 17 and 9. And you got Steven Adams averaging a double-double. Then you got the young talent that you guys probably don't even know, LeGwent Stewart. I don't know how to say that, but that's his name. He played at Arizona State. And they got Darius Bazley, Terrence Ferguson. Just pieces that know their role, and they play it perfectly beside the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dennis Schroeder, Danilo Gallinari. They play it great beside them, and they just help that team win. So this team is really crazy how they're the 5th seed, and I see a lot of people saying they're going to be a scary team in the playoffs. I don't see it, because like when you look at other teams, like other teams got so much talent, but then when I think about it, this team doesn't have a lot of talent, but this is a team. Like this is a team that can win any game. They stay in any game. Only time they got blown out this season was against the Bucks, and everybody gets blown out against the Bucks. I don't know how everybody gets blown out against them, but this team can do damage in the playoffs. But I wouldn't be really scared of them. But the next team is the team that Chris Paul got traded from, the Rockets. Now the Rockets, they're kind of weird because they're doing this little small ball lineup where their center is a 6'7" power forward and PJ Tucker, but he plays the center position. So if you put this team against the Rockets, the Clippers, or the Nuggets in the playoffs, they're gonna get killed because they can't stop Anthony Davis. They can't stop Montrezl Harrell. They can't stop Jokic. Like, they're gonna get killed. But they're so top heavy where they can give up those points on defense with the centers, but on the other side, the other team's gonna have to stop James Harden, one of the best scorers we've ever seen. A walking 35. He averages 35. Last person to ever do that was Kobe, R.P. Kobe. But he's averaging 35. Then you got Russell right next to him, and they're playing back like they played in the OKC days, looking unstoppable together. So if you give up all them points with PJ Tucker, you're basically getting it right back with James Harden. He can easily get it by himself, but now you got Russell to help him out to carry some of that offensive load off of them. And then they got Robert Covington, so where Russell Westbrook, James Harden would drive, Robert Covington just sitting there on a three, shooting it, and he sticks amazing defense. So this team's good, but I just feel like when they face these big name centers, they're gonna get killed. I don't know how they're gonna win those games with these big name centers, and plus their bench is not really that good. You got Chris Clemens, Austin Rivers, Daniel House, like players that's just on and off, like every now and then players. Like they get their buckets every now and then. So I don't know how this team's gonna do in the playoffs, but we'll see. Next we got the Mavericks. Now the Mavericks have, to me, the best young talent in the league, and Luka Doncic. In a couple years, he's going to be the best player in the league. I seen a tweet the other day that said it's crazy how people don't even realize, but in the next couple years, it's going to be a 6'6" Slovenian guy that's the best NBA player in the league. And I laughed at that because, like, that's true. Like, Luka's going to be the best player in the league. He's already top 10, and this is his second year, and he came from overseas. And, like, he said it's easier to score overseas. It's easier to score overseas. Actually, no. He actually said it's easier to score here than it's overseas. So, like, it just came easier to him. So, like, he's out here almost averaging a triple-double in his second year. And he has a great running mate with Kristaps right beside him. And Kristaps was starting to become 2017 Kristaps again. The All-Star that we seen a couple years ago. So this team, when you look at it, the stats, they're in a historically great offense. That's a hard word to say. Historically great offense, and this team has so much depth in Steph Curry, Tim Hardaway, Dorian Finney-Smith. I would say Dwight Powell, but he tore his Achilles, so that sucks. He was a great pick and roll guy with Luka, but you just plug in Maxi Kleber, who was the same person, just not as athletic, but shoots the three better, plays better defense. He guarded Zion and held Zion down, and he blocked Zion 6 times the last time they played. That's the most he ever been blocked. And like, I was watching that game, like Zion kept falling because he just bodies people, but he wasn't bodying Maxi Kleber. Because then even if he would get close to the paint, and you come over there with a 7'3" center, and like it's so hard for him to maneuver around because Zion's only 6'7". So they have a really deep team. I didn't even name everybody else. The Jalen Brunsons, Justin Jacksons, like players that know their role. Like Steph Curry knows if Luka's not getting his, all right, I gotta go get my little 15, my little 18 a game, and I gotta be there for when he drives. I gotta be there to shoot the ball, and like Dorian Finney-Smith knows, Maxi Kleber, Kristaps, they all know, all right, I gotta stick defense because they're like the defense. They're the best defenders on that team, so they gotta help Luka when he's getting beat by, let's say, LeBron or Damian Lillard. They gotta be there to be like, all right, we gotta block this shot. So this team is scary because they're so top heavy, and Kristaps and Luka. But then when you look at the bottom, they got Dorian Finney-Smith, Steph Curry, Maxi Kleber, players that when the other players are hurting, Kristaps and Luka, they can go out there and give you another 20, 25 to win you that game. Like when Luka got hurt, the Mavs went on a 3-game winning streak because Kristaps was the best player on that team. So like this team is so deep and so good offensively, one of the best offensive teams ever, according to stats. Like this team's gonna be really scary in the playoffs. And this is my dark horse to win the championship. I think the championship's coming out the West this season. To me, it's either the Lakers, Clippers, or the Mavericks. because this to me that's the top three teams in the league other than the Bucks. But next team we're going to talk about is the Grizzlies. Now the Grizzlies was not supposed to make the playoffs. They were supposed to win, according to the NBA, their projected wins was 24, and they're at 32 right now. And you can say that's mainly because Ja Morant's having an amazing season, and he's only a rookie. Let me look up his stats. I think he's averaging. It's too late to look up, but he's averaging 18 and 8 as a rookie, and then he's having games when he's giving you 20 and 11. And you got Jaren Jackson next to him, who's also giving you 20, and then you got Dylan Brooks, who's having a most improved player year. To me, he should be up there for most improved player because he's starting to come into his own. Like, all right, John needs help, so I gotta go score. And just the other piece for him is you gotta add that defense. Because you can see it on offense. He wants it on offense. I remember he torched the Cavs earlier this season. He had 20 points in the first half. So, like, you just got to get it on defense as you got it on offense. And then they got this rookie coach in Taylor Jenkins. Like, he's a great coach when I look at it. Like, the plays he be having to run, the pick and rolls he be having Ja and Jaren Jackson run. Because you can't stop that. Ja can just easily drive and kick it at Jaren Jackson, one of the best big man shooters in the league. His shot is so ugly, but it goes in. So that coach is just a smart coach the way he draws up the plays for them to excel in this league. And then they got Jonas Valanciunas a double if they need it, and they did have Jay Crowder. That was a big loss. I'm not gonna lie, because he held that team together. He was like the heart of that team. So when they lost him, Ja and Jaren, they got to step up their roles more and be more vocal leaders of that young team. So this team, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. I think the Pelicans are going to come back and take that playoff spot, but if this team does make the playoffs and they do face the Lakers in the first round, I think they can get at least one win off the Lakers and they can make that playoff series look fun. And this team is, their future is really bright, because, like I said, Luka's one of the best young players in this league. I think Ja's right behind him, because Ja just looks like he wants it way more than a lot of these other players does. So I just can't wait to see these guys' future. But next is the Trailblazers. So the thing about the Trailblazers is they were just in the Western Conference Finals, and now they might not even make the playoffs, which is kind of crazy because they have that superstar in Damian Lillard. They still got that co-star with CJ McCollum, but he's just not having a good year at all. They lost Rodney Hood earlier in the season, which really hurt them because he was like that bench piece that was always reliable to come in and get his buckets when he needed it, and then he'll give you respectable defense. And then they also lost Enes Kanter, Steph Curry was, like I say, with the Mavericks, he knows when it's time. He steps up on defense, and he knows when you drive, he's going to be right there in the corner on the top of the key that you can kick it out to him. That's an easy three for him. Then they got Enes Kanter off the bench, he brought that energy and that rebounding to that team. So they also lost him, and they're looking kind of bad. Like they might not make the playoffs, and that sucks because also they lost John. I think it's John Collins, not John Collins, Zach Collins. They lost Zach Collins, but like they gained Hassan Whiteside, who to me, after Giannis, is him for Defensive Player of the Year because he averages 2 blocks and like he's just a force to be reckoned with in the paint. Like you're just scared to go down there. So they lost so much, and like I understand why they're out the playoffs, but like to me they should have fell like to like the 7th seed or the 8th seed. They shouldn't be in the 10th seed right now with the amount of talent they got. So I don't know. We'll see if they make the playoffs. But like I said, I think it's the Pelicans. I'm rooting for the Pelicans. So we'll see. But speaking of the Pelicans, we're going to talk about the Pelicans now. Now me, I like the Pelicans, but it's only because Lonzo and Zoe was traded from the Lakers, and I love the Lakers, and I loved them when they were on the Lakers because I knew if they was given that opportunity to play without LeBron, they were going to be great, and I was right. Because now you got Brandon Ingram, he's an all-star. Last year he was averaging 16 points. Now he's averaging 23. And I seen the first game, and he had 30 points 30 points. No, he had 32 points and 11 rebounds. Everybody was like, where did this come from? And I was like, obviously you guys didn't watch last season when LeBron was out. When he was giving you a constant 25 every game, and I was like, he's had this game. He was just held back from LeBron, and I'm not putting that all on LeBron's fault, because it's like when you look at LeBron, young players can't play with him because he wants to win now. So like Brandon Ingram was still developing, so he was just holding him back last year. But like now you look at it and you just see Brandon Ingram was an all-star, and you got Lonzo right next to him, who's one of the best playmakers in this league at a young age. He's always been one of the best playmakers in this league ever since he came in to me, because he can pass anywhere you are. Anywhere you are, he's going to give you the ball. But this year, what I've seen from him is he's more confident in himself. Like last year, we would look at Lonzo, he'll drive, have a wide open lane, but we know he's going to pass that. We know he's going to pass the ball. He plays like me, how I used to play. I don't like scoring. I'd rather pass than score. So he used to drive and just kick the ball up. I'm like, Lonzo, you're right there, shoot the ball. But he never used to shoot the ball. But now we got him doing fadeaways on Patrick Beverly, shooting 6 threes a game, making 6 threes a game. And like that used to always be a knock on him is he can't shoot. But he's shooting 36% from the 3-point line, and that's above average. That's better than Devin Booker. I seen that's better than Derrick Rose, like players that's known for their threes. Well, not Derrick Rose, but like last year he was shooting 42% from the three. So like you could say he's a 3-point shooter now. So for him to shoot better than them, Lonzo, that's like a big jump. And then you got Drew Holiday there for just that leadership and that defensive anchor. So he can guard 1 through 3. I've seen him guard 1 through 4, but I wouldn't put him like on the Anthony Davis and Kristaps. But he can guard 1 through 3, and he does it at an elite level. And he's one of the best scorers. I watched all the Smoke podcast with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, and they asked like different NBA players, what do y'all think is the most underrated player in the league? Everybody says Drew Holiday. Like that's a consensus. Everybody says Drew Holiday. And to me, that's real true. Like, Drew Holiday is really underrated in this league because people just look at him as that defensive guy, but, like, they don't know that he can do it all. Like, he can do it all. He can defend, score. He can be that 3-point shooter if he wanted to. Like, he can do it all. He's one of the best players in this league to me, but he doesn't get that recognition. I don't know why. But then you got Zion, like I said, one of the best young talents in this league. Came in averaging 24, which is crazy. If he would have played the whole season, he would have been an all-star, no doubt. It probably wouldn't have been Brandon Ingram, but I'm still say Brandon Ingram was the all-star. But Zion would have been an all-star, and for me, this team in a couple of years, they can be that championship team. Because this team right now, if they make it to the playoffs, they can give the Lakers a run. I don't think they're gonna beat the Lakers because like LeBron in the playoffs is unstoppable. But this team can do something with the Lakers. But next, I'm going to talk about the Kings now. I like the Kings because De'Aaron Fox, I always liked him since Kentucky. And this team is getting held back by Luke Walton. And I don't like that. I don't like that because I like Luke Walton because he used to be a Laker. I used to like Luke Walton. But you can see, like, last year when he was on the Lakers, when he was coaching the Lakers, he was holding Lonzo back, playing slow. When Lonzo is like that person to get the rebound, and he's automatically running. But he had him last year playing slow, and like he was getting called out on it. But like he didn't change it at all. Now this year, you can obviously see that De'Aaron Fox is probably the fastest person in this league, and him being fast is so effectable because you can't stop him on a fast break. But like sometimes he'll slow the ball down, which is not him. But that's how Luke Walton's coaching him, and that's holding him back too. So I think for this team to get better, they're gonna have to fire Luke. But I like Luke. They're gonna have to fire him and let that young backcourt of De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield grow. He has Buddy Hield on the bench, but like that's stupid because he's getting paid $22 million. You're not supposed to have a person that's getting paid that much money with that much talent on the bench. And they saying he didn't earn it, but like he's the same player he was last year, and he gave y'all 20 and 5 last year. So like why are you putting him on the bench now? Like, what is he not doing? What are we not seeing for him to be start on the bench? But for me, this team just needs to get rid of Luke and be that team that we seen last year that was on the ninth seed, almost in the playoffs. And I feel like they can do that, but Luke's holding them back. But next is the Spurs. Now the Spurs, my thing for them is they just gotta go in full rebuild mode, get rid of LaMarcus, get rid of DeMar, and just embrace that rebuild mode. So with me, I also think that they gotta get rid of Coach Popovich, one of the best coaches ever, if not the best coach ever. And I say that not because he's a bad coach or he's doing a bad job with, but Pop is not a rebuilding coach. He's a winning coach. So I don't want to see Pop having a team that's 22-60. Like Pop is a championship coach. I don't know how much championships he has, but he has a lot. He has a lot of championships. One of the best coaches ever. So I just think they got to get rid of Pop and find a rebuilding coach like Kenny Atkinson. Have him do what he did with the next team. With this team, go DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, Keldon Johnson, and the others, and just rebuild this team from bottom up. And I think they need to embrace rebuild. And for the Suns really need this playoffs. They really need the playoffs, either this year or next year, because I think if they don't make the playoffs this year or next year, Devin Booker might request a trade. And Devin Booker is one of the best young talents in this league. And he's been that for a long time. Devin Booker's been in the league since he was 18. He's 23 now. So, like, he's still really young. He's not even in his prime. He's one of the best players in the league. So, they need to hurry up and get into the playoffs. Because he said, I think last year, this is the last year I'm not going to be in the playoffs. And that wasn't true because he's going to miss it this year. So, for them, they got to make that playoff. Or he might request a trade soon. And for them, I think they have to get a power forward, and a shooting guard. And you might think, why would they need a shooting guard? Devin Booker's already a shooting guard. I don't think you guys are paying attention that Devin Booker can be a point guard in this league. When they had Tyler Johnson as a starting point guard last year, he's not a playmaking point guard at all. So Devin Booker was out there giving you a 25 and 10 assists easily. And he can be a point guard in this league. He doesn't need another point guard next to him. Like, they should go out and get another defensive too. Like, if they can get a Jrue Holiday, let's say the Pelicans, they want to get a young shooting guard and they want to get Jrue Holiday out this team. If you put Jrue Holiday next to Devin Booker, that's unstoppable. Because Devin Booker can do the playmaking, can do the scoring, and Jrue Holiday can be right next to him with the defensive game and the scoring right next to him. So they just need that defensive 2 and that defensive 4 next to DeAndre Ayton, the center on that team. Who, for me, he's going to be one of the best centers in the league because he's already averaging 18 and 12 his second year. Like, he's really buff. He's big, real buff. So for them, I just think they need defensive anchors on that team for this team to be in the playoffs. But they got to hurry up and do that because I think soon Devin Booker's going to want that trade. He's going to want to get out of here. And to me, I think he want to go to Minneapolis with his two best friends, D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns. So they better hurry up. And speaking of D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns, we're going to talk about the Timberwolves. I think it's the same thing with the Suns. They just need defensive anchors on this team. They're not making the playoffs this year. I don't even think they're invited to Minnesota. I mean, not Minnesota. They're not invited to Orlando. So their season's done. I just think they need defensive anchors next to their two stars in D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns, and just build the young guys up that's next to him, and Josh Okogie, Jared Culver, who's both of them showed that they can be great defenders, but on the offensive side, they're really inconsistent. They're not consistent at all. So this team just needs to grow, and they got a good coach. I think it's not Flip Saunders, but I think it's Ryan Saunders, his son, RP Flip Saunders. But yeah, this team just needs to get defensive anchors to hold down their two stars. But next and last is the Warriors. Now, the Warriors are the worst team in the league. Next year, they might be the best team in the league. And it's crazy because it was just in the finals last year, and they're the last team in the West, the last team in the league basically. But next year they're going to be one of the best teams in the league because you have a Steph Curry and a Klay Thompson come back, one of the best backcourts we ever seen in my life. We've ever seen in the league. They're one of the best backcourts. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, one of the best shooting backcourts. And then you got Andrew Wiggins, he doesn't want to be that number one person. He doesn't mind being that number three person next to a Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And then you got Draymond Green, who's the heart and soul of this team. I don't like the hate that Draymond gets. I just feel like people don't understand him. And I feel like if they was to draft a James Wiseman with that top 5 pick that they will have, this team's going to be right back into the championship run because they have so much talent in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins. Then you have a heart and soul and a leader in Draymond Green. And then you added James Wiseman to that, walking double-double. Also a person that can spread the floor next to Draymond. And then you have these young players that were starting this season in Jordan Poole, Kai Bowman, Eric Pascal. You have those players that were starting, but you could see that they were floors in the bench role. So like you can just instantly input them into the bench. And you guys will have a good 9-10 players to roll out next season with and go back to that title contender that y'all were for the last 6 years. So this team can be an NBA champions next year easily. Just all the pieces got to fall in line. But that's it, guys. That's all we're going to talk about today. That's the 15 teams. Leave a comment below. Let me know how you feel about these teams. Let me know how you feel about what I talked about today. And subscribe, like, and that's it. Oh, one thing else. We're going to talk about music. So I didn't do the music part of this podcast yet. That's because I'm trying to figure it out how to like incorporate music into my podcast. Because like you really can't just like go out and play music because then you'll get copyrighted. So I'm not gonna do that. Like me and my friend are gonna do a Zoom call and we're gonna talk about the first episode of the first part of music that we're gonna talk about is our top 5 albums, and then the next episode we'll do our top 5 artists, our top 5 songs of all time, like the stuff, the input, the music and stuff into my podcast. So just wait for the music; they'll be here soon. So thank you guys. Talk to you later.
Twino got the recipe.